thank you so much for being with us. And yeah, as a way of an introduction, so Kaira Jewel Lingo, former nun and now teacher in the Plum Village tradition, and also Spirit Rock as well, and author of many wonderful books. One of my favourites, yeah, We Were Made for These Times, on my shelf, and probably many others, friends from the Sangha. So if we're just going to hand over to you and just say thanks for being here, and love to get some reflections from you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. So good to meet you, Manu, and it's so lovely to hear your singing, Joe, and just feeling very blessed as I look at everyone who's on the call and seeing so many dear friends and siblings on the path. So I was just very honored to be invited to join you all, and have spent some time practicing and teaching in the UK. And so I feel very connected to the UK Sangha, um, even if I haven't been there in a while. And the first thing that occurred to me to share, I just have 10 minutes, so I'll keep to that, is on the 30th anniversary of Plum Village. I think it was 2012. I was in Plum Village as a nun, and a group of us created, as a way to celebrate Plum Village, we created a dance where we wrote a poem where each practice center was a bodhisattva. And we did a dance of homage to each practice center. Um, and each verse of the poem had a different choreography where we have 8 or 10 sisters. We acted out what that practice center was bringing to the world. And it just came up as I was joining the call that, oh, this is going to be another practice center, a fourfold practice center, as I understand it, or manyfold, we could say, to be gender inclusive, both monastic and lay people, bringing this beautiful offering into being. So I hope we can all get a sense of like another jewel coming onto the crown of the Plum Village community, or another pearl being added to this necklace of really precious treasures for the whole world. And especially because so many of the centers are monastic centers, or only a few are founded and created by monastic and lay practitioners. And so I just want to really celebrate the uniqueness, the specialness of this moment. A new bodhisattva is coming into being that deserves and will inspire the kind of reverence that each other bodhisattva in our beautiful community deserves and inspires in people. So I also wanted to say something about generosity, because I know this is a fundraiser, and we really want this baby center to succeed and to put down roots and to grow and to flourish. A teaching on generosity that I have really tried to practice, that really nourished me as soon as I heard it, was that whatever is the first impulse that comes to your mind to offer generosity, listen to the first impulse, because often the first impulse is followed by other things that the mind says to us. Oh no, don't give, or you might need to save this for another occasion, or don't give that much, or like there's some negotiating or wrangling that happens after that first impulse. And I've seen it happen in myself many times, where this kind of very fresh, maybe innocent, or just very it's like an essential part of me arises. Oh, I want to give, I want to do this. And then my more conditioned self, the more jaded self, the part that feels more limited, comes in and starts to edit that initial impulse. And I have really tried to listen, to follow this advice since I heard it, and it has served me well, even though sometimes it was against my, better judgment, so-called, this secondary reactivity to the first impulse. So um, just a deep invitation for all of us to sense into all the lives that this center can touch, all the ways that this new center can deeply impact our world, but in ways that are so needed now more than ever. And just yeah, what is the right response? How do we want to share our generosity? And I loved what Marcus shared about many ways to be generous, not only monetarily, but there's spreading the word, there's volunteering, there's you know figuring out other ways to support the center. So I think the last thing, well, I did actually want to just, like Joe so beautifully brought in the body, I wanted to just invite us to uh, move our bodies, and then I'll close reading a story. So you may have been on this call for some time, and I always like to invite us to take good care of our bodies and to have some fun doing it too. So I just invite you to shake out an arm. Just let one arm shake. And then shake out another arm. Shake out your other arm. We can get a lot of tension in our body and our muscles. And then you can shake out a leg. Let one leg shake. And shake out another leg. Good. And then shake out what you're sitting on. You might need to move a little bit, shake out what you've been sitting on. It might not have had some movement for a while. And then I invite you to shake out your face and your voice. So let your face make movements. You feel free to make noises with your voice. Great. And then if you want to keep just playing with your face, you could make a really big face. Open your face really big, and then make a small face. Scrunch up your face really small. And then make another big face. And then a small face. And now you can add noises to that. I'm going to mute myself because I don't want to yell in your ears. But when we make a big face, you can make a big noise. And when we make a small face, you can make small noises. Okay, ready? Go. Or maybe we should let ourselves enjoy each other's noises, shall we? We want to unmute and let ourselves. Don't shake their head. Okay, okay. If you were inspired by anyone else's faces, feel free to let that inspire your movements too. Okay. Thank you for letting ourselves energize ourselves in that way. So I'm going to close my part with reading a short story of mine about a time. Oh, look at you, Lucy. Yes. Thank you. Beautiful. We need the clown energy at all of our centers, Yeah, so this is on a slightly different energetic tone. This is from the book Tears Become Rain of about maybe 50 different students of Thai sharing their experiences of of our teacher. So I'll just read the story I have in this book. And it's called Just One Look. In 2003, I traveled with Thich Nhat Hanh and several hundred monastic and lay students to China to offer retreats, public talks, and days of mindfulness in different parts of the country. At that time, I was a nun in Thai's community. Like all teaching tours with him, this one was more like a pilgrimage. Many inner and outer blessings and challenges called forth the best in us, while helping us to compassionately recognize and befriend the worst in us. At some point on the trip, I started feeling very bad about myself. For several days, I experienced gnawing self-doubt, fueled by self-judgment and aversion to who I felt I was and what was going on inside me. The kind of self-absorbed thinking that narrows your mind and cuts you off from others. Heavy emotions so consuming and persuasive, you cannot connect with or be open to other realities. That morning, we were en route from one city to another, and I remember boarding the bus full of misery, feeling utterly dejected and desperate. Ty was sitting in the front row, as he always did, to make sure the driver stayed awake and we would all be safe. As I got to the top step, getting on the bus, I lifted my gaze and our eyes met. Ty was looking at me most intently, with a compassion and love so huge, I felt it physically. A palpable energy of affirmation, care, and deep understanding of my pain penetrated my body and mind. I had never seen that depth of kindness in someone's eyes before, and especially never directed at me. As if a great being or Buddha were looking at me through a magnifying glass of unconditional love. The look was so focused that it burned away attachment to my story and removed the diluted tendrils and seductive hooks, keeping me bound up in the little picture, the small self. It was a moment of grace, and it took my breath away. Though I had to continue moving past Ty to take my seat, inside I had stopped completely. I was changed. Ty's brief look opened up a moment of timelessness in the midst of the pressures of worldly time, and it created a moment of well-being and wholeness in the midst of intense suffering and brokenness. Ty's look taught me that awakening is possible in every moment, even if it is a tiny waking up to the reality of this moment, where innate goodness and worthiness can always be affirmed. His look kindled a deep desire to be able to look at other people in that way myself, with boundless compassion and love that can wordlessly relieve suffering and inspire great confidence and joy. I think back to the many things Ty might have been preoccupied with in that moment, for the trips to China were especially challenging ones. We were a Buddhist delegation in a communist country that was at times welcoming, at times ambiguous, and at times suspicious of our presence. Ty was guiding not just several hundred lay and monastic followers, but digging deep into his own vast knowledge and experience to be able to offer culturally appropriate teachings to thousands of Chinese people. At the same time, he was gently, and sometimes not so gently, encouraging them to move beyond narrow views and reclaim their powerful ancestral wisdom. He had his own health and safety to be concerned about, as well as that of all of us who accompanied him. And yet, right in the midst of it, he was free from all of that, free enough to see me clearly, free enough to care about me, and free enough to zap me with incredible peace and freedom. So, thank you so much for the chance to share with you, to be with you. And I also just want to name that my partner, Adam Bucko, and I are also at the very first stages of beginning a Buddhist Christian center, which will really center Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings and Plum Village's practices on the Buddhist side. My partner's an Episcopal priest, but I just really share the excitement and joy of this endeavor because in my life we're also in that similar path on a very much smaller scale, I'm sure. But we hope to be starting the beloved community for engaged spirituality in upstate New York, where we have been given a small monastery. So if you're in the Northeast of the United States, we hope you'll stay in touch with us about that. So I join my palms and bow with much respect to this community gathered here and much love.